And you see, this is exactly why I wait at least 10 to 15, maybe even 20 minutes before I start recording. Because you know why? Guess what happens? Either someone gets paid, someone gets traded, someone gets cut, someone signs with a new team. All those crazy things happen. All the breaking news things happen right before I'm getting ready to do a new episode, while I'm editing the episode, or while I'm getting ready to put out the episode. It happens every single time. But guess what? We got a bag alert, folks. That's right. We have a bag alert, a breaking news bag alert, okay? Garrett Bolles is now going to be a Bronco for life, okay? Bill Belichick is going back to school. 49ers and Rams tonight. Washington and New Orleans on Sunday. Eagles and Steelers on Sunday. And Lions and Bills on Sunday. We got some great matchups, man, and I cannot wait to try to watch each and every one of these games, okay? I'm going to have my TV on one game, have my laptop on another game, have my iPad on another game, and have my phone on another game, because guess what? We are the Football Junkies podcast over here. We live, breathe, sleep football, okay? As well as your GM, who currently is not on a team right now, but don't you worry about it, okay? Don't you worry your mind about it, because you know why? None of that matters, because you know why? The most important thing that does matter is I am your host, Kale. You already know what I'm getting ready to say. This might be a little bit of a long episode. Hopefully it's not. Maybe it might be a short episode. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but guess what? On 3, 1, 2, 3, let's lock in. All right, folks, let's just get into the meat and potatoes of everything that is going on in the league right now. Okay, so as I said before in the intro, I was literally getting ready to record. I'm thinking, okay, the most important news of the day is Bill Belichick is the new head coach for the University of North Carolina. And the next thing I know, guess what happens? Garrett Bolles gets paid. So we might as well want to talk about it. So this is essentially a 4-year, $82 million deal that goes up to $86 million a year. He'll be making $42 million guaranteed, according to early reports, which roughly equates to about $20.5 million a year. This is actually a really good deal, simply because he's the 9th highest paid tackle, which is fairly good. And not to mention, he was supposed to be a free agent after this season. So you lock up your tackle. He's now going to be a Bronco for life. It's a great deal. It doesn't necessarily, break the bank or anything, while at the same time you have a veteran left tackle who is going to be able to protect Bo Nix in the years to come. Prior to this point, Garrett Bolles was publicly saying that he was dissatisfied with not getting a new deal, and he was hoping to try to get a new deal, and things just didn't go in his direction. And then we're finally at the last few games of the season, and then they decide to, reward him with a deal, which all in all is great. If you would have told me that Garrett Bolles was going to hit free agency, I would have called you a liar. Low key, I had an idea that most likely they were going to try to hash something out. Now, I didn't expect for them to do, the traditional 4 years, but, they locked him up and they value him, and, they're winning and he's playing good and whatnot. So you might as well want to, reward him and make him a Broncos for life. So all in all, great job for them. On to the more pressing news that everybody wants to talk about. Bill Belichick is now going to be the next head coach for the University of North Carolina football team. Now, this is what I will say. Actually, you know what? No. Before we get into my opinions and whatnot, let's just go over some junky nuggets and some junky bullet points that needs to be talked about. Okay, so basically this is a multi-year deal. Okay, the details are pending, and that'll probably happen once his press conference is happening. So as of right now, when as I'm recording, most likely his press conference is going on right now. So once that conference is over with, we'll probably get a little bit more clarity with exactly how much money will he be making. Okay, UNC has also agreed to increase their NIL commitments from $4 million to $20 million a year, which is actually pretty surprising. Michael Lombardi will be the GM for UNC. He replaces Mac Brown, who went 44-33 in his 6 seasons. Okay, this was his second stint with UNC after the 88-87 run that they had that included 6 bowl appearances. Bill Belichick, of course, spent 23 years with the Patriots and has 333 victories and is 14 victories shy of breaking Don Shula's head coaching victory record, okay? On one hand, I am happy that, Bill Belichick is back in the coaching driver's seat. However, I do have mixed opinions about this simply because of who Bill Belichick is. Now, granted, Bill has been on this run within the last few months or whatever of basically trying to change his public appearance, right? Bill Belichick, came off as a nonchalant, short-talking, head coach that really didn't have to say a whole lot, right? Some people will call him cutthroat with some of his tactics in football. Some of them will say he is manipulative when it comes to the rules. Whoever you go to, they'll have different opinions about Bill Belichick. My only problem with this is that Bill wants power. When he was the head coach for the Patriots, he had power. He was both the general manager as well as the head coach. That's why a lot of those draft picks, especially towards the end of Bill Belichick's, tenure with the Patriots, have not really hit that much because why? He made those picks. He did. When they was doing the draft, I think it was the draft during the pandemic. He had his, they had the camera on him. He had his laptop up and he would get up and he would walk away for like 20 or 30 minutes, come back. You'll see his dog, sitting where he's supposed to be sitting and whatnot. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. What will be his selling point to players? Because it'll be different if Bill made this shift prior to the NIL. Because with Bill's coaching style, he's going to bring the best out of players. But now that you have the NIL in place, not everyone is going to be as open to the coaching style that Bill Belichick brings. Now, there may be some players who you may be a 1 or 2 or 3-star prospect or maybe even a 0-star prospect and you just want a chance, then hey, this is probably your place to go. But on the other hand, if you are a 5-star prospect, most likely you are thinking that you are going to be treated, different than everybody else. Well, newsflash. You are not going to be treated than everybody else. You are going to be treated just like everybody. Hell, even look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady won 6 championships for the Patriots. And not once did Bill Belichick ever treat him different than everybody else. Better yet, there were times, and you can check and you can look at other, former players. Julian Edelman has a podcast, and, other players have podcasts and made guest appearances. They've all said the same thing. Bill Belichick has grilled Tom Brady in front of the entire team like he is a nobody. That's just who Bill is. Bill coaches hard. You would have thought that Bill wouldn't have done this, especially with his buddy Nick Saban leaving Alabama, because Nick Saban was about to run into the same thing that Bill is about to run into, which is what? I can't coach you and prepare you to bring the best out of you, to prepare you for the draft and for the NFL if we're always talking about money. I just can't. That's going to be the roadblock between success and mediocre. Because when we look at it, how in the world can you convince a player who is making $2, maybe $3 million a year, who has a pretty good NIL deal, to want to take the extra mile, who wants to put in extra time, who, you should be doing this more, you should be doing that more, you should be more critical, with how you play. You should be more critical when you're in these situations and that situations. It's hard to do that when they're making that much money. And so that was the reason why Nick Saban just decided to say, you know what? Hey, I think it's my time. I did what I needed to do. I have basically flooded the league with Alabama players. I have now made them, one of the, creme de la creme when it comes to college prospects. I've won titles. I got commercials. I've done it all. There's no need for me to coach anymore. I just have so many questions about this move. I really do. It's nothing really against Bill Belichick because Negative as there is about Bill Belichick, there is also positive. Because one thing you cannot take away from Bill Belichick is he always gives the players that nobody wants to deal with, that nobody wants to give them a chance, he brings them in and make them great. Case in point, Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler is sealed in Super Bowl history because of that one play. If you would have told me that Malcolm Butler would have made a historic play like that, I would have called you a liar. Julian Edelman, somebody that nobody wanted to give a chance. There are so many players on those Patriots Super Bowl teams that nobody knew about until they made a significant play in all those Super Bowls. And that is one of the things that you have to love about Bill Belichick. But at the same time, you also have to be careful because of the ego that comes with Bill Belichick. Because granted, you can say, hey, I coached, Lawrence Taylor, one of the greatest, defensive players of all time. I've won, this many rings. I've done this. I've done that. But at the end of the day, you've done recently. Because the last thing that we saw Bill do was lose. And mind you, this was post Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Gronk, and company. And so what exactly can you sell to these players now that will make them want to go above and beyond for you? Because as of right now, Bill has a tall task ahead of them. And he has to figure out exactly how in the world can he create his little niche, really cultivate these players and make these players, the best players that they can be. On to tonight's game that really has a lot riding on it, okay? 49ers and Rams. Now, to some people, you'll probably think, this probably isn't a really good game. But to me, as a football junkie, this is an amazing game. Because why? This has major playoff implications. Because whoever loses this game, most likely, your chances of making it to the playoffs is slim to none. But here's just a few junky nuggets that, sort of caught my attention that I think definitely needs to be talked about leading into this game. So, in the 20 games that Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp have played together, they have combined for 150.5 receiving yards per game. These two are probably two of the best receivers, in the league right now. Okay, this group, this core, this little Batman and Robin thing that they have, it's amazing. These two alone diced up the Bills' defense. They couldn't stop them, and that's why you kept on seeing holding, pass interference, and all those different types of calls. Because why? You couldn't stop Puka, and you definitely couldn't stop Cooper Kupp. Now, both teams are coming off of wins, which is pretty good. The 49ers run has been struggling without Trent Williams, okay? So when Trent Williams is not on the field, they average 4.3 yards per carry. But with Trent Williams on the field, they average 5 yards per carry. Now, you're probably thinking that's probably not a whole lot, but that is significant because we have seen when Trent Williams is on the field, the run game runs a lot smoother. And they're able to, get a first down and more compared to when he's not on the field. Run game is struggling. So I just want to see exactly how is the 49ers going to scheme against Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Because right now, the 49ers need Nick Bosa to play and other star players to play right now because, for one, the pass rush has not been able to create a lot of pressure. And we all know that when Matthew Stafford doesn't have a whole lot of pressure on him, that's when he starts cooking. That's when he starts having these type of games like how he had on Sunday against the Bills. And mind you, as of right now, which I didn't even realize it until I checked it, Washington is the 7th seed, and they are 8-5 right now. If they lose on Sunday, they'll be 8-6. The Rams right now are 7-6. So the Rams have to win this game tonight. I think there is a chance they may be able to get the 7th seed away from Washington if they start losing some games. For San Francisco, it's a little bit more difficult for them because they're 6-7. I just don't think they're going to make it to the playoffs this year. I think this is a down year for them, from them battling injuries and losing a lot of their star players and whatnot. It's just been a down year for them. So I would rather for them not to make it to the playoffs and just try to regroup and replan for next year than to try to, see if they can hope and pray that they can make it to the playoffs. Just saying. Also, I just want to put this out there, though, before we go on to any of the other games. When Cooper Kupp, Puka, and Kyron Williams are on the field at the same time, right, their record is 11-5. They score 27 points per game, 338 yards per game, and 51 total touchdowns. But when they are missing one or more of these players, they are 6-8, 19 points per game, 315 yards per game, and 29 total touchdowns, according to ESPN Stats and Info. Also, just to put this out there before we go any further, apparently Bill Belichick has also confirmed that, with this move of him being the head coach for UNC, that he does not intend to go back into the NFL if somebody was to offer him a head coaching position. Also, Bill Belichick has also confirmed that the first quote-unquote hire will be former interim head coach Freddie Kitchens, who will now be on the Bill Belichick staff. Let's see what exactly he's going to be in charge of. What aspect are they going to use him? Is he going to use him to show him, how they do things, how the culture is down there? I don't know, but only time will tell from this point on. Now, back to the other football games that we have to talk about. And what is the most important game that is going to be happening on Sunday? Eagles and Steelers, okay? Yes, we have to talk about the Eagles and Steelers simply because a lot is riding on this game, okay? Because this is an important game for both teams, all right? But mainly for the Steelers because right now they could continue to possibly climb and maybe try to see if they can get the second seed. I'm just saying here, folks, I get, this is probably going to be the most difficult. I've seen crazier things, okay? The number one takeaway from this Steelers team is they find different ways to win. They don't just beat you with just, the quarterback doing his thing or the defense doing his thing. No, there's been some games where they won based off of just field goal kicks. There's been games where the defense has been doing their thing. It's just the Steelers this year are mysterious, okay, when it comes to winning. That's just what it is. When we get into some of these junkie nuggets, okay, which I didn't even realize this until I actually found it, Russell Wilson is undefeated against the Eagles. Through 13 games, Saquon has averaged 124.8 rushing yards per game. The Eagles are 10-0 at home against the Steelers in the Super Bowl era. The Steelers are 10th in points per game at 24.8, while the Eagles are 8th in points per game at 26.3. And the Steelers' close game record is 6-3, while the Eagles' close game record are 7-1. Now, the reason why I wanted to highlight the points per game as well as the close game record is because this is going to be a fairly close game. This is not going to be a blowout. I do think the Steelers are going to, hang on in this game, but there's probably going to come a time and point where a play is going to be made that is going to seal the game. Because as of right now, the number one priority in this game for the Steelers is trying to limit Saquon Barkley's effectiveness in this game. And the reason why I say that is because once Saquon Barkley starts going, that opens things up for everybody else to start eating. And you don't want to do that. You want to try to contain him as much as possible. Sure, there's going to be some plays where he's just going to do his thing and he's going to get his yards, but you want to make him fight for it, though. You don't want to try to just give it to him. No, you want to try to fight for it, okay? You have to figure out what you're going to do with A.J. Brown. You have to figure out what you're going to do with Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith and Jahan Dotson if they decide to use him. So the Steelers defense has their hands full against this Eagles offense because this Eagles offense has the weapons that can beat you in the air as well as in the ground. For the Steelers offense, you want to try to put up as many points as you can. Anytime you have a chance of putting points on the board, do it. Whether that means you make a field goal every single time or a touchdown or whatever the case may be. You want to try to keep this game as close as possible, but at the same time, be able to put a cap on certain players. Because we know A.J. Brown is going to make a big play. Saquon is going to make a big play. Devontae Smith is probably going to make a big play. Dallas Goedert is going to make a big play. So you have to be able to figure out how you're going to be able to limit all of those stars on this team, while at the same time creating enough pressure on Jalen Hurts that can, result in turnovers and field position. Because again, TJ Watt, if I'm not mistaken, he is first in the league when it comes to forced fumbles. Nick Herbig is right behind him. And everybody knows Nick Herbig, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, they're going to go after the quarterback. They're going to create pressure. They're going to do their thing. So I cannot wait to watch this game. I know this is going to be a great game. Hopefully the Steelers win this game so then I can, have I can have some leeway to talk to the Eagles fans. But if we don't, it is what it is. On to another game that is very interesting and sort of has a little bit of a revenge game into it. Washington and New Orleans. And the reason why I say that is because Marshawn Lattimore apparently will be playing this game. So who knows? Maybe he might be able to enact his revenge on the Saints. I don't know, but I will say this though. Entering into this week, Alvin Kamara leads the Saints in both rushing yards at 938 and receiving yards at 485. Both teams are coming off a W, and the Commanders are fourth in points per game at 28.9, while the Saints are 17th in points per game at 22.3. Also, this could be the game where we see KJ Osborne suit up in a Commander's uniform. Now, on to the last game that we need to talk about, and I think it's probably going to be the most important game that everybody wants to watch, okay? And that is the Lions and the Bills, okay? And the reason why I say that is because this game definitely has a lot riding on it for both of these teams, okay? Especially for the Bills, because with them losing against the Rams on Sunday, that could open up chances for the Steelers to try to get the second seed, okay? We all know that they're coming off that horrible L. No need to talk about it. Whereas the Lions are coming off another W, okay? The Lions lead the league in points per game at 32.1, while the Bills are second in points per game at 30.5, okay? Most likely this is probably going to be a high-scoring game. Most likely this game is going to come down to the wire. And most likely, this is probably going to be the toughest matchup for the Bills to end the season. Because right now, outside of this game, it's basically cool, calm waters, okay? But you got to get through this game. And last time I checked, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua put on a clinic on this Bills defense. So I would not be surprised if there is a repeat of this again. But hopefully, the Bills get away with this W. Well, not really, because I don't really want the Bills to win because I want us to get the second seed. But nobody cares about that, okay? So I'm going to end this here. I told you guys this was going to be a fairly short episode. I was not going to try to make this episode long and drawn out. So as always, if you guys like what you are listening, please like, share, subscribe, download the episodes, leave a 5-star review on anywhere that you can listen to podcasts and get your daily football junkies fix. Okay, now for my YouTube people, make sure that you guys are sharing, subscribing, turn that notification bell on, leave a comment down below on any of the recent Football Junkies episodes. Okay, let me know your thoughts. Okay, I want to know your thoughts. I want to start a debate. I want to start an argument with my fellow junkies. Okay, now when you go on the YouTube page, you have the link tree as well as all the direct links to all of our Football Junkies content, whether it be on RSS feed, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and TikTok, okay? For my TikTok people, Football Junkies Pod, okay? Football Junkies Pod. Yes, I know. Clips. Working on it. Give me some time. It's the holiday season. You got to work with me. For the Instagram people, okay? Football_Junkies Pod, okay? Football_Junkies Pod. Junkies Pod is not what? It is together, not spaced, okay? It is together. Football_Junkies Pod, okay? But as always, I hope I gave you guys a fix that you guys need. I know I gave you guys somewhat of a bigger episode this morning because it dropped this morning. And so I just want to give you guys something light just to finish things off. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. We're pretty close to getting 60 episodes. Who knows? We might be able to end the year with 60 episodes. Who knows? But as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Happy holidays. Drink some water. have fun, spend some time with your family. Do something nice for yourself. Reward yourself. You made it through another year. Peace and love. I'm out.